These are 13 of my very favorite art supplies, and the basic 13 that you would ever need, probably everything you would ever need to get started in a journal. Now, I decided to start off with this journal, which is Dylusions Journal by Ranger. This one is a 5x7. I love this one. This is a good purse carry. I love this journal. You've all heard me say it before. It has this nice pocket. And this nice elastic, which keeps it closed. And it's plain paper that is cardstock paper, and it comes in a multitude of sizes. This is a 5x7. This one is a 8-inch square. This one is an 8-inch square. These are the pockets. So, I mean, honestly, I have used these. I don't use them a lot, but I love it. Also, this lays totally flat like this. Oh, oops, sneak peek to a future video. Then the bigger one is an 8x10, which is this one. I've had this one for forever. This is strictly my desk journal, and I love that as well. So again, they are cardstock paper. They take a beating. They really, really do. I'm just going to put these down here so they're out of my way. I'm going to keep that one there. The next most important thing, and I'm getting rid of it first, is a package of baby wipes. You can usually get these pretty cheap on Amazon or any place you shop. These are hands down must. They're great for paint, taking paint off everything. You can use them to paint, and they're just a handy thing to have. Remember, I get this thing because it closes tight, but remember to close these when you leave wherever you're painting, because they dry out quickly if you don't close them. That's the one disaster. Okay, so now I'm going to start. These are my watercolors. This, I would suggest one set, a small set. So this is a student grade Winsor & Newton watercolor set. This is perfectly fine. It's a travel set. You don't need anything even this big. I mean, a few watercolors is what you really need. I love this. I take this to go, and it even has this adorable little brush, which is very tiny, but still, you know, it's there. I choose watercolors. This is the other set, the Viva Colors sheets. These are sheets of watercolor on a piece of cardboard. I mean, so these are very pigmented. They're fun to use, maybe a little pricey. I think these are $19.99, somewhere around there. But it's all nice and contained. It's great for traveling, going anywhere you want to go. It has these nice little, what do you call this? Vellum strips in the middle to keep your paints from running onto each other if they're wet. I like this because it's handy. That's it. I mean, that's why I use this one. Any watercolors will work. Even your kids' Crayola watercolors will work. I basically say watercolors because with a watercolor, you can make a water wash across the back or across your background and use that as your first step in art journaling. So you could easily take something like this, and you want to get started and you can't think of what to do. You wet your watercolor. I'm going to just use this one. This is a water bottle. I mean a spray bottle. You wet your page. I'm only doing this because I don't have any water here with me, of course, because I wasn't going to really demonstrate today. And you color wash your background. This simple. Know this, these do dry a lot later when they dry. But that's all you need is a simple color wash across your page. Now, preferably, I would have a much larger brush than this to do this, but it's working. And that just gets you started. So that's why I say watercolors. That simple. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to try to watch your comments. The watercolor sheets are so worth it, Sandy, because they go everywhere and they've lasted me a really long time, and the color is so vibrant. Okay, these are the Caran d'Ache water soluble crayons. This is my next favorite product. Here's why. Well, first of all, you can buy them in a tin like this, or you can buy them. There's 10 come in a tin. They're basic colors. These here: yellow, orange, red, pink, purple, blue, green, brown, black, and white. These are water soluble. I took them out of my tin and I put them in here. Here's why I like these, because these work often just like watercolors. You can get these wet and do nearly the same thing I did here. And make a background. You could use them to paint. Okay, I think we just got a delivery. Did you guys hear that bang? I think they threw it up against my door. My gosh. That was terrible. So these make good backgrounds. You can draw with them. You can color like a crayon with them. A whole bunch of things. These are versatile. This is why I like this. You know, if you don't have paint, this will work in a pinch. Love these. Again, water soluble. That's why I'm totally in love with them. Let me see. I have to think about the direction I wanted to go. Okay, I wanted to talk about paintbrushes. These are Simply Simmons paintbrushes. I have a flat. If you really only need one, but if you wanted to, this is what I would think about. A flat brush like this for painting bigger areas. And this is a round brush more for watercolors. But I use these brushes for everything. These Simply Simmons are relatively inexpensive. You can find them on Amazon or any craft store, even the paint stores. That's the beauty to them, is that they're very versatile. So those are my next favorite thing for art journaling. Now, it wouldn't be a me video, without talking about this. These are acrylic. This is just a small one. This came in a set. I don't think you can buy them this small. I have a white and a black acrylic here. This is the only acrylic paint I said, because these are the most, with this, you can do almost anything. I think having a white and a black is really important. These are really basic. And the other one I have here is a golden. This is a more expensive artist grade titanium white. It's heavy bodied. I love this. I use this all the time. So, but acrylic is fine. You don't have to have the expensive stuff. These are student grade Amsterdam paints, and they're wonderful. I can't say enough about the Amsterdam. They've really held up well. Also, I like Martha Stewart paints, but I decided not to say Martha Stewart, because they're getting harder and harder to find. Okay, so my next one is, well, let's talk this way. You need to have a permanent marker or a paint pen, a black Posca paint pen. So this is a black Sharpie. This Sharpie will write over anything in your journal, pretty much anything you can throw at it. This is a definite great pen to have on hand for your journaling. Expensive pens are great and nice, but a lot of times with the stuff we're putting in our journals, it's rough and the pen nibs take a beating. It's better to buy, I think, these more inexpensive pens for this. This is a Posca black pen, black Posca fine tip pen. Oh, I haven't even used this one yet. But any black Posca pen would also work. These I have found, I like these a lot better than I ever thought I would, and they're very handy. But the next thing is a white pen. With a white pen, you can solve any problems. Us art journalers love our white pens. This is the Posca white pen. This is a little bit bigger nib than that other one. This is great. This works great. However, in a pinch, whiteout. This is just Bic whiteout. I bought inexpensive at a Staples store. It came two to a pack for nothing. And why do I like this? Because once dry, it's permanent. I don't like the white pens, like the Signo white pens that everybody loves. Wash away if you get them wet. So even this is a better choice than those. And the Posca pens are permanent, so you don't have to worry about that washing away either. So these are, I would get one black and one white, so you have them on hand. Whatever size you prefer is fine. Oh, and then this is the other thing, a basic Uniball. This is a Uniball Vision pen. I happen to have a fine one here. These are waterproof. It's an inexpensive pen and great for using in your journal. So you could draw and the paint, you could paint over top of it, I mean, and the paint isn't going to run. So this is a good choice for a black pen also. And these are inexpensive. Usually you can get them in a pack of 4 or 5 or something like that. So that's a good one. Okay. Wouldn't be a day without me talking about Stabilo All pencil. These are, again, a water-soluble pencil. I used to say that the black was my favorite. They come in, green, blue, yellow, orange, white, which I don't ever really use, although I'm wondering why not. My favorite colors, though, are the black, the blue. The blue is so juicy and yummy. I'm even going to show you. I don't know how wet this is. It's wet enough. This is just lovely. What I love about this is you could draw something. Let's draw a box. And make it run color. So you can get a lot of depth by, now, you guys, I'm on camera. I don't have water here. But you can get a lot of depth by making this run. Look at how yummy that is. The red is similar and the black is very much similar. I like to outline with the black, then get it to run a little bit. For a shadowy effect, this is a lot, but. And if it's too strong, you get it wet and you can mop it up with a paper towel. Like this. So you don't have to leave it that strong if you don't want it. But I just find these pencils amazing and I love them and I like to play with them. Now, the crazier thing is I like to use these and then put thin down white paint over them and it colors your paint. Also, another good use of them. I added this on the last minute. Masking tape. So here's why. We all love washi tape. You could also include washi tape in your journaling, your favorite journaling supplies. This, because you could make your own washi tape with this, and there's something really fun about that. So I take this, I have a plastic mat down here. Can you see this? I don't even know if you can see this. Well, you could see the plastic mat. There you go. So I lay this, I'll take strips of this and lay it across my plastic mat, and I'll paint on this washi tape and then peel it up and use it in my journals. But if you don't want to make your own, you can buy your own. I mean, everybody has washi tape around, so it's easy to find, and you could still use it as tape in your journals. It's important. Tape, I have found, is important, whether you want to tape in a photo. These tapes tend to be a little less sticky than like a magic tape or something like that. So that's why I love them. Plus they're decorative, blah, blah, blah. These are really good things. Okay, the next thing that I think is a really good idea, or my next favorite product, is a stencil. Now, in my write up, I said you only need one stencil, and I still believe that. These stencils are a Dilutions, so the Ranger Dilutions company, the same as the journals. And this is 4-in-1. And I've talked about that before. I'm sure you've heard me say it. There's 4 different stencils here. We're only looking for stencils for a little bit of background interest. So you're not looking, you don't need a big stencil to stencil the whole page. So this is a favorite of mine because you get 4-in-1. And I mean, just pick one that you like that has, if you get the 4-in-1 that has different um, cutouts in it that you like. If you don't get that, another company that I really like a lot, and it's a small company, so you'd be supporting a small family owned kind of business, is PM Artist Studios. And this is one of their stencils made out of Lupo paper. I've really been loving their stencils. So this is another one. Some of their stencils come as a 3-pack, I think. But these are a definite must if you want to support small business. I really, really enjoy these. As a matter of fact, a great friend of the channel here, Estella, designed some stencils. Estella Banks designed some of the stencils for PM Artist Studios. So you'd also be supporting her, which is very cool to support small artists like that. So those are my stencil thoughts. Find a design you really, really love, because this is really just to add background, texture. A lot of times it gets covered up in your journal and you're not going to see it all. The next thing I think you need is a roller, a brayer of some sort. These are Speedball, these two. These are heavy duty. You can find less expensive ones. I bought a less expensive one that fell apart. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to suggest those. I'd rather buy a smaller one like this. These have a lot of uses, and I particularly like them for spreading paint sometimes in my journal. Now, you'll notice that the Jelly Plate isn't on my list today of must-have art supplies, but these are good if you have a Jelly Plate. So the reason why I didn't choose that is because I've done a video before, which you can find, about using a plastic bag or foil to gel print. So you would still need the brayer for something like that. And I forgot to talk about this when I talked about stencils. This is sequin punchella. This is the leftover after they punch out the sequins. And this would be a great stencil just to have on hand. And the final thing here, well, it's not the final, but the final purchased item is deli paper. You can find this on Amazon. This is what they wrap your sandwiches in when you go to a deli. This is slightly waxed. It is not heavily waxed, so it's not like wax paper. I like this because you can roll off your brayers on it if you have a lot of paint left over. If your brushes are dirty, you could do that. This is great for putting between your pages to keep your journal pages neater. This is the big one. They come in smaller ones. Also, after a while, this gets painted and looks crazy. Here's one that I have a lot of paint on. And you could use these in your journal. After they get to be very painted, sometimes these colors are fabulous, and you can rip them apart and use them as collage paper in your journals. So this is why the love of deli paper, because it makes great collage fodder. Okay, that is it for my purchased goods. The rest of these that we're going to talk about. Oh, no, you know what I didn't talk about? One more. You need some kind of paper adhesive. I prefer liquid over a lot of the other, over the glue sticks, actually. The glue sticks are okay if you can find one you like. I've had some problems with things lifting, so I think it just depends on the ones you choose. But I either use this Liquitex matte medium, so it's flat, it's not shiny. That's why I like that. Or for years and years and years, I've been using this ArtQuest Perfect Paper Adhesive, which is also matte. And either they work the same, basically, they're matte, and they glue things down on your page, and that's what I love them for. So those would be my two choices. Now, we're going to take a step away now, and we're going to talk about things that you can, the rest of these things are all going to be things that you can find in your recycling bin. So over and above the paint brushes, I love a key card, like a hotel key card. Now, most of the time, they're just going to throw these away, as far as I know, in the hotels. Plenty of people come home with them by accident or whatever. It could be a gift card. It could be an old credit card. It could be anything like that. These are so great for spreading glue. So what we were just talking about, spreading glue, putting things down. Also spreading paint on your page. I saw someone a few weeks ago complete an entire painting only using a key card. So she made a face, actually, not even picking up a paintbrush. So these are amazing. And you can spend money on this type of Catalyst tool, which is by Princeton. It's a paintbrush company or an art company. So they make these scrapers, but honestly, this for free out of your recycling bin or somebody's recycling bin. Here's what I'm going to say. Your friends will think you're crazy. Go to their recycling bins because they'll have amazing things that you don't have. So this is my number one find in the recycling bin, but can't live without this. I mean, look at this thing. It's been through the war, you can see. And I have several of them. So this is a must-have in my book. The next must-have, and I put this in the recycling bin one because this happens to be a National Geographic, which is a wonderful magazine. You can get lots of cool images out of this. But this would be one of the best choices, especially if you're just starting out in art journaling, would be magazines. Now, you can ask your friends for magazines they're throwing out. You could go to a library. A lot of times the libraries are giving them away, the magazines. I look for images and words that I can cut out of magazines. So I do both. Here's a cool image, for example. I look for cool words or cool fonts. So fashion magazines, I used to love Oprah and Martha Stewart magazines because they had great images and great fonts. But any magazines, I only brought one because that's all you really needed to see, right? So magazines are a must-have for a lot of reasons. You can cut pictures out and you can collage in your journal with it. You can create a story or a vision board or anything else from a magazine. Also, if you're like me and you say to yourself, I can't really draw. Well, here's the start of how you start getting images in your journals without having to worry about drawing too much. That was how I got started pretty much. Okay, now I'm going to get into the recycling bin because this is, I found way more in the recycling bin than I realized. And this is all things you can have for free. So the first thing is this paper, which is like craft paper. This is packing paper that came from something I got delivered. Um, so I save this because this is fun for a lot of reasons. You can use it to make journaling paper or ephemera paper. You could just use it like I use the deli paper just to rub off your paintbrushes and brayers. You can use it for all kinds of creative things. This is a definite must. The next thing are these little Altoid tins. Now, these are great for, pieces of things. I don't think, your Caran d'Ache won't fit in here, but say these got down to little nubs, you could put a bunch of those in there. If you really like watercoloring and you buy pans like this, you can create your own watercoloring kit. These are definitely worth saving, and they're great to travel with small little trinkety things. So that's one. I find all kinds of things like this container. This is obviously something Asian food came in. I use this to, house any number of things. It could be your pencils. It could be scraps of paper from your desk. I save these. It could be a water dish, whatever. That's a saver. This is a piece of wall compound tape, and it's got this mesh on it, and it makes another great, it's usually stickier, but I've used it enough that it's not sticky anymore. It's another great stencil for a background. You can see that's what I've used it for here. Save things like that. That's very cool. I find postcards, which are great for anything. You can use these in your journals. You could just use these to play with. I mean, they're heavy. I like these, so I save these. This is another piece of packing that looks like a honeycomb. I ripped this part off. But this is great for pressing into paint and making marks. So it's a mark making device. I found this is somebody that I know got a makeup kit, and she was like, oh, this is junk. And I'm like, oh, this is a great spray bottle like the one I used here before to wet my paints. So you can find things like this from friends. So I would save that. I would save any paper bags like this. These, now I have stuff in here. These, if you got enough paper bags or different size paper bags, you can actually make your own journal, a paper bag journal, and that's really fun. So these are fun to have for that reason. These are more cards that I saved and some paper. So that's all these are, and some gauze, because I thought this gauze would make a great texture in paint. So that's why I saved this stuff. Bubble wrap. This is great for, yes, Donna, you have to pay attention to the recyclables. There's so much good stuff in there. You don't even know sometimes. So bubble wrap, this can make, imprints on your paint, in your paint. Bubble wrap is very versatile. It's more than just wrapping. I find popsicle sticks, at the very least, these are good for mixing paints that are starting to separate. You can use them for a bunch of different things, but to spread in your journals even, those. So these are old Starbucks cards that they used to give away that got you an app of the week. So they don't do these anymore, but I save these because, you can paint these as little tuck things for your journals. So I love those. This is another form of a postcard. So I would save this, and I would use this also. I would paint on this. I would use this as something to put in an envelope in my journal. Any number of things you could do there. These envelopes. So these envelopes, you can do so much. You can cut them down to make envelopes in your journal. But you can also do, similar to that paper bag idea, you can also fold them in half and create your own journals with these. You know, you'd have to sew them or staple them in the middle here, but you can make your own mini journals, and these are quite functional. You could cut off the flap and have little tuck spots in your journal, or you could leave the flap. You could separate the flap and have it tuck spot here and a tuck spot here. There's a bunch of things. One of our future videos is the one I showed you in my journal before, which is decorating envelopes like this and using them in your journal. This is a cool label somebody had. I just liked the art on the label, and I pulled this out of, it's a beer. Wheat ale. So I pulled this out of the recycling bin because I just thought that was very cool and that someday I would use it. This is a hot cup, you know, for coffee holder. What do you call these? Cozy, one of those. I took this because of the corrugated inside for texture in my journal. So this way. So you could use this in your paint, and there you have it. And if you wanted to use the logo, you know, clearly it's Starbucks, but whatever, that came out of the recycling bin. I save clothes tags sometimes if they're heavy and nice. This particular tag was an envelope. Oh, I thought that was so cool. So here's the envelope. I would cut the string out because it's going through both things. You know, it's securing the envelope like this. But it does have a little piece of paper in it, or a little tag in it also. And I would definitely paint this up and use this in my journal and have fun with that. Again, as a tuck spot or whatever. I find a lot of, I have a friend that gets this superfood, I guess. I find a lot of my tissue paper in people's recycling bins. And when you put this in your journal, you know, kind of gets a little translucent and it's fun to use. So this is another thing I find a lot of is tissue paper. Okay, I found this bag. This is a very heavy plastic bag. Now, I kept this because if you remember anything about me, I made a plastic bag I used as a jelly roll plate. So you can easily, you would have to put cardboard in here. So you would slide a piece of cardboard in here. Just because you want it, it gives it some stability. But you can easily use this as a jelly plate alternative. And you can spread your paint out. This is why you need a brayer of some sort. Spread your paint out and print right on here. Now, again, a layer of cardboard. I like a either a magazine underneath it or a layer of cardboard for the printing. You kind of need that give underneath to really get a good print. But because this is less than perfect, it's not like a jelly plate, it's a little bit less than perfect. This makes some really, really great art. Think about that. So I saved this really heavy plastic bag for that particular reason. And I thought it was awesome. This is like a waxed paper. I don't even know what this came in. This was a recycling bin, so I don't even think it's lightly waxed. Maybe this is more like, I just thought this was very cool. And I would use this in a collage in my journal. Or you could use it like you would use the deli paper to rub off your brayer or your paintbrush. But several of these came in something we got. And again, I thought this was cool and it was a great piece of journal paper. So anything like this, I save. One of my favorites. These are paint chips in which my kids punch some stars in, and I use those as stencils. So if you don't have stencils or you're like, I only have one stencil and I can't afford to buy more, I'm going to encourage you to make your own. And there's a lot of ways you can do this. Again, this was a little, I don't have it here, a little punch that my kids had when they were young that made stars. And these were just paint chips. That's all they were. And again, makes a little stencil that you could use. And there you have it. Paint chips are good for a lot of things. This cardboard, so this is cardboard that I peeled back. You just wet this a little bit and you peel it back and you get the corrugated effect. I love this as a way to, so you could press into your gel plates with this, or you can even just paint this up and press this into your journal. This is a fun thing to have. So I save little pieces of cardboard like this. You guys probably think I'm all nuts, right? You think I've lost my mind. This is a candy. Again, I was thinking along the lines of a mini journal. So this is chocolate. I would paint this up. I would get several of these and make a little mini journal, secure it in the middle. Or, I mean, just it makes, it's great brown paper. So on the inside, I think it's plain. Let's look in there. On the inside, it's plain, so it would be like using, plain craft paper. But you know how I am. I love even this kind of thing just stuck in your journal. Maybe this is a memory for your journal. Maybe you got this chocolate when you went someplace with your family and you want to use it as a memory, as part of a travel journal or something like that. Oh, this is another cool tag that I found in a recycling bin. Here's another tag. So all kinds of tags, different sizes. Tags are the hot thing. Everybody loves using them. Recycle them. We don't need to buy them. Recycle them. I mean, how fun is that? And you can use these in your journal. This is a package of somebody gave me a gift in this, but I loved this little dog, so I save newspaper. Now, what's funny about me is I don't like the feel of most newspapers, but this doesn't feel bad. But I love this little dog, so I save things like that, newspaper or whatever. Also, the rest of this is good for the background of your journal. And there's a little paw print here, and it came wrapped in this ribbon, so I even saved the ribbon. And one of my last pieces, not the last piece, but one of my last pieces is this box. And you might be saying, why? And I see this as a potential journal. I might have to take it apart a little bit. This could house a journal, even as it is. You could just cut off these ends and just use this part as your journal. And you could actually use this as the, the binding part. And you could sew any of these sort of self-made journals right in there, pages and stuff like that. So I save this. I would probably cut this off unless for some reason I wanted the box. That's why I haven't done it yet. And I would save this as my binding, for my binding. And then I would probably cut off the flaps here and make my journal out of that. So that's that one. And the last one, so I found a lot of these. These held cookies. But I thought these were great paint mixing pans, right? There's 8 of them in here. I've had these forever. This came out as, like I said, they held cookies or chocolates. I don't know which. But a friend of mine had a whole bunch of them, and I kept them. Strictly for mixing paint colors, because I thought that was cool. So while this was supposed to be about 13 items that you can't live without or don't want to live without, or just to get you started in journaling, this became a lot more than that. But these are the basics. So the recycling bin can give you so much. So just put that aside. I can think of 100 things to do with all that stuff from the recycling bin. But let's just talk about a page or journals with the basic things that I showed you in the beginning, the Caran d'Ache crayons, these. I would pick one kind of watercolor, so one kind of watercolor, one brayer, one kind of tape, one stencil. Well, we're going to say one magazine, but you could have as many magazines as you want, especially if you got them for free. So I'm just showing you here. And even if you kept all these pens and pencils, this is all you need to get started. You really only need one black, and a white. And then the Stabilo Alt pencils are just the bomb, so I include those in everything. I don't know where my blue one went, but it's gone. Oh, that is the blue. The black is gone. All this is all you need to get started. Oh, and the glue. The glue. That's it. It's as simple as that. You could cut out great pictures. You could cut out great fonts out of the magazines. You could use your paint to get a little color on the bottom. You could use your stencil to get a little texture in the back. The black and white, because you can tame any colors, or black and white is just a great addition to any page. These are great for outlining letters, for any number of things. And if you need a color, you have your Caran d'Ache crayons right here. And on top of that, they're water soluble. So you could do all your drawing to your heart's content. You could do flowers, whatever you wanted, and you'd be all set. Oh, I forgot the brushes. I moved the brushes out of the way. That's why. Brushes. And, I'm going to say this. You could find water-filled brushes instead of these if you wanted. Also, I find this flat brush is sometimes very usable, something you really might look for. And that would be it. That would be all you need to get started to making really, really great things in your journals. So this is how I would begin, even without the recycling, but the recycling on top of it. And I forgot to mention, if you have somebody in your life who uses doilies and you find those in the recycling bin, those make great things for your journals. Also, lace or material, old white hand towels or thin kind of hand towels are great. You can dye those and use those, rip those up and use them as ribbons or just pieces in your journal, all that. So these would be the very basic things to get started. And now I guess the next lesson is how to get started with these things. So maybe that's something we'll have to think about for next time. Any questions? Thank you all for showing up. I really, really appreciate it. It was good to see you. Thank you. I hope that you enjoyed my selections. Do you have any selections you like better than this? Do you have anything? What's your must-have art journaling piece that you like, that you need? Now, I just said black and white and no color, but you certainly could add a color or two, but that's the most you would need to do. I wouldn't go out and buy a bunch of colors. You don't even really need that because there's so much you could do with something like this or your watercolors. So thank you all for being here. Leave me a comment below if there's something I forgot or something you couldn't live without that you think you need to add to your journal. And rethink your recycling bin, because certainly that recycling bin stuff, I was shocked at how much stuff I had here. And can I tell you this? There's more. I didn't even pull it all out. You could save caps to things to make, designs with, dip it in paint, make designs with. I mean, there's so much more you could do and just with the recycling bin. Okay, everybody, happy Wednesday. I hope you have a great rest of your week.